Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for, and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, the motion picture you're about to see contains scenes so terrifying, the public must be given grave warning.
Hello and good evening. Let's get that off. There we go. And welcome, everyone, to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am your host, Sewer Dweller. And joining me once again this week, we have Friday.
Hi. If you haven't noticed, I like being here.
And we enjoy having you here. This week, we go all the way back to 1982 for a movie that wasn't released till 1986. We are watching Jim Wynorski's Sorceress. Nice little cult classic fantasy movie, I guess you could say. We'll get more into it as, you know, in our second half, of course. For those who don't know, Jim Wynorski is famous for his really shitty way, cheesy, campy way of filmmaking. Especially, like, he brought us some fantastic movies, like Chopping Mall. Let me bring him out, because I know he's made a lot of really good, like, popular movies, and then you turn around and watch what he did in like, the latter half of his career, and you're just looking going, what happened? Let's get all the way down here. Yeah, so he's brought us Chopping Mall, Deathstalker 2, Big Bad Mama 2, The Return of Swamp Thing, Sorority House Massacre 2, 976 Evil 2. He likes to do sequels. Munchie. And just, you know, like I said, a lot of, like, Ghoulies 4. And a lot of movies where they, what's the best way? I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Like a lot of movies that are considered classics. And to turn around and put this out, or like not this out, but like what he did later in his career. Hello. Because when he get to the late 90s, early 2000s, he put a lot of Skinamax style stuff out. Like he did a lot of, I wouldn't even call it really softcore porn, but it was a lot of booby movies.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to put it, because like in his movies, there really wasn't a lot of like the softcore porn style sex like you would usually get on Skinamax, but holy shit, did he find reasons to get naked women on the screen?
Yes.
And
yes,
then And then if you watch they did a documentary on him when he was making, I think it was the Bear Wench Project or something close to that. And one of the funniest things I remember from the documentary that I watched was they were doing this scene where the girls were dancing by a fire. And he kept saying the light from the fire wasn't enough, so we have to find something to make the flames. So his idea to make it look like there were flames dancing around the women was he had a couple of people at about 2 or 3, maybe 4 flashlights and start like just basically moving the flashlights back and forth to make it look like there was flames on the girls. Now, when you turn around and watch the movie, you can clearly fucking see these are flashlights on the girls, like just going back and forth. It didn't look like flames whatsoever. But that's, what he's done. He's gone by a lot of different names, like a lot of pseudonyms. But we'll get it more into him later on. We'll get into Jack Hill, one of the other writers. I take it back. Jim Wynorski didn't direct this movie. He wrote it. Him and Jack Hill. Jack Hill, we talked about last week. Jack Hill's really famous for a lot of exploitation style movies, blaxploitation. You're talking, he put out Coffee, Foxy Brown, like a lot of Pam Grier, The Big Birdcage. These are movies that he wrote. Dementia 13, which is a classic. Spider Baby, Fear Chamber, House of Evil, Isle of the Snake People, Switchblade Sisters, like a lot of great movies, especially if you like the exploitation genre, which I am somewhat of a fan of. Big fan of, I like the blaxploitation films just because of their over the top hilarity,
Oh yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of Pam Grier. I love Coffee. I love wow, what was the other dance? See, now I'm drawing a blank. I loved Coffee. I loved Foxy Brown. The Big Dollhouse was another good one. If you like women in prison movies. And the one thing, like I said, the one thing you're going to get guaranteed if Jack Hill is writing a movie or Jim Wynorski is writing a movie, you're going to see a naked woman.
Yes.
So that's going to be our second half. We're going to talk about Sorceress. We're going to talk about Jim Wynorski and Jack Hill and a lot of other things. And a little bit of a surprise. We'll go ahead and ruin the surprise now. What would happen if I told you guys that one of the producers of this movie, and he's not credited for it, was Roger Corman? Do you know who Roger Corman is, Friday?
Not off the top of my head.
He's considered the Godfather of, it's Herschel Gordon Lewis is the Godfather of gore. Roger Corman is like a legend. The B movie king, the king of the B movies is what Roger Corman is known for. But when you look at Roger Corman's, when you look at his filmography in that, you're going to see legendary movies. He did, unfortunately, pass away last year at the age of 98. But you're talking, I don't know, we're going to look at, let's look for director. Damn it. Didn't do what I wanted you to do.
It does that.
Yeah. We're going to go all the way back to his early career. You're talking like Five Guns West, Apache Women, Day of the World Ended, Swamp Women, Attack of the Crab Monsters, Machine Gun Kelly, Teenage Caveman, Tower of London, The Raven.
Some of those I really liked.
Yes, they're, Hammer movies and things like that. Producer, he's even like more producer wise. Let's get all the way. What am I looking for? Get all the way down here. Like you're talking hundreds of producer credits. Like I'm not even down into the 70s yet, and he's been around since like the 60s. Yeah, like Dirty Duck, Big Bad Mama, Candy Stripe Nurses, Crazy Mama, The Story of Adele, Eat My Dust, Jackson County Jail, Hollywood Boulevard, Moving Violation, not the one we covered on the show. Ilsa, the Tigress of Siberia. Like just all kinds. Like he's the king of the B movie. Oh, let's see. And he only wrote 10 from the looks of it. Yeah, he only wrote 10 of the movie. He only wrote 10 of the movies that he produced in that, but he was the guy you went to make the movie, essentially. But yeah, Roger Corman has an uncredited role or an uncredited producer credit for this film. But let's go ahead and let me bring up my haunt news because we're gonna get ready. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the news. That's out there right now. There's not once again not much haunt news. It is still February. January lasted forever. And it is still February, so the haunts are still getting into, still haunt owners, haunt managers, the builders, and that they're still in their vacation mode. Come April, May, that's when they'll start jumping back into it. Of course, we do have the Valentine haunt season, which it's a niche holiday haunt. Where I know we're still doing it. Speaking of which, next, make sure I get this out of the way, or Braz might come over and kill me. Next Thursday, or Thursday, Thursday the 13th of February, they're doing Hellbound Horror at Hell's Dungeon, 7:30. Basically, it's a bunch of comedians. I think they're going to be recording it as a podcast, I believe is the plan. I might turn up there to go check it out. We'll see what's going on that day, though. On the 14th and 15th, we have Till Death Do Us Part, the Hell's Dungeon Valentine's Haunt. I will be working the queue line. So come say hi to Cupid if you're in the Dayton area, and I'll make fun of you. And finally, on Saturday, the 15th at 5 p.m., we are doing Dinner and a Murder Mystery Theater. From what I understand, I believe they said that the troupe that's coming to do the murder mystery is from St. Louis. Or Missouri, I believe is what they said. Don't quote me on that.
Still
but
epic.
That is still pretty epic. And I believe that on the dinner menu is going to be fettuccine or spaghetti with garlic bread. So
Really
come
nice.
out. I mean, who doesn't want to eat dinner and watch a murder mystery dinner inside of a haunted house? Who doesn't want to come see stand-up comedy inside of a haunted house?
Lack of gas money and a 16-hour drive is the only thing that's stopping me.
I mean, there's planes that fly here. We have like we have like five major airports within a 3-hour drive of of Dayton.
But I need to buy the plane ticket.
This is true. And I don't know if you want to be on a plane lately from the looks of everything going on.
No, I'd rather drive.
Yeah, I don't like flying. I've only flown a couple of times in my life, and I would rather drive. Like when we go to Florida, we don't fly, we drive. It's like almost a 12, 13, 14-hour drive, but we drive. I think when we went to Orlando, we actually drove, pulled over inside of a Pilot, slept for about 2 or 3 hours, and finished the drive all the way to Daytona Beach.
That is awesome.
Yes. And like I said, and that's the thing too, is I was supposed to go to my sister's, my niece graduated back last June, and I was supposed to go up to Washington because my sister lives in Washington State, and we were supposed to go. I was supposed to go up there for her graduation, but wasn't able to because I just couldn't afford the plane ticket. And as much as I would like to drive, it would take at least 3 days to drive from here to Washington State, and that just wasn't in the cards.
No.
As much as I love my niece, and much as I'd like to meet my niece, because I've only met her. Last time I've met my niece, she was 2 years old. My two nephews, I have never met. It's just one of them things because her husband was in the Navy and they got transferred and put out in Washington State. So, unfortunately, we've not been able to go.
Of course, you'd have to come with me. You have to meet Steven too, and Raz, and Ron, and Pyle. We have to meet them together and give them big hugs.
And don't forget Matt. Matt will be there as well.
Oh, we have to meet Matt and Brooke.
Props the clown.
Yep. I don't get to talk to Matt often.
Yeah, I don't either. I when I go up there and see him, but he's usually working with Fred. So let's go ahead. We're gonna do the haunt news first. So as of right now, the list that I have, there are 95 attractions across 28 states that are going to be open for the Valentine haunt season. Let's see. The following haunts are going to be open this weekend. Actually, some of these open tonight. Some of these are only open tomorrow. The ones open tonight and tomorrow, the 7th and the 8th, we have Hellbilly Hollow in Vincent, Alabama. The Haunt in Atascadero, California. Basement of the Dead in Aurora, Illinois. The Haunt in Atascadero will also be open next weekend as well for the 14th and 15th. Basement of the Dead, Aurora, Illinois is open this weekend. Factory of Fear in Moline, Illinois is open this weekend. The Terror Maze in Roanoke, Virginia is open this weekend and next weekend. Moving on, for one haunt is going to be open from the 7th through the 9th and then the 14th through the 16th. And that is going to be Spooky Acres Haunted House in Norfolk, Virginia, my old stomping ground. Which I'm looking forward to next week when we do Shivers and we're doing romantic killers. We have a serial killer from my area that we are going to be covering that used to scare the shit out of me as a kid.
Dude, Bonnie and Clyde are from my area.
That's pretty cool. I listened to a podcast on them. I think last year they covered it. There's a podcast out there called Last Podcast on the Left that covers serial killers. You know, a lot of stuff I cover, except they do a way more in-depth job of it than I do and that I'm able to. They have a staff and everything that does all their research for them. And when you hear the true story, like the story as much as they've gone into depth of Bonnie and Clyde, you really realize these are just two stupid kids.
Yes, they were.
They were just like, there's a legend built around them, but they're really just two stupid kids.
Yeah.
You know, Charles Manson, you have this big legend built around Charles Manson, but you study him and you go through and look at his whole life and everything, and you're like, this dude just wanted a cult to sit around, have sex, and play his guitar.
Okay, give the kitty kisses for me. Baby's got surgery today.
Oh, that's not good. And go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was just breathing. I am sorry. My sinuses are bad and I can't help how loud I am sometimes.
Oh, no, you're good. I just, like I said, I don't want to cut you off. And I know sometimes there's that gap between us.
The delay. Yeah.
The delay. Yeah. But moving on, for haunts some haunts are only open tomorrow night. And that's going to be Sweet Dreams Haunted Attraction in Mobile, Alabama. The Wentz Brothers Festival of Fears in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. They will also be open next weekend on the 14th and 15th. Paranoia Haunted House in Canton, Georgia. Screams Haunted Experience in Hoboken, Georgia. They will also be open on the 15th next weekend. Hollerin' Haunts Hayride in Clinton, North Carolina, also open on the 15th. Pinhead's Graveyard in Canton, North Carolina, also open on the 15th. The Akron Haunted Schoolhouse, one of the top-rated haunts in the state of Ohio, will be open tomorrow, and then the 14th and 15th next weekend, of course, in Akron, Ohio. Spookhaven Mill in Mill Fall, Pennsylvania, and then finally Dark Castle in Elgin, South Carolina, also open on the 15th. So get out there, go check out some Valentine's horrors, some Valentine's haunted houses. I gotta say, last year was the first time I've worked a holiday haunt between the Christmas haunt. I'm sorry, 2023, the Christmas haunt and the Valentine's from last year in 2024, and I had a blast doing it. In all honesty,
dude, you are an amazing Cupid.
Oh, it's gonna be worse this year.
That's gonna be.
He's not. It's not gonna be a friendly Cupid this year. Because Cupid's going to be out in the queue line, and let's put it this way: have you ever watched Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Yes.
We're gonna mix Cupid up with a little bit with Carl.
Oh, so much fun!
Yeah, so be prepared for that. I am going to be making fun of people. I'm going to be trying to break people up. I will do it. But moving on, Trans World is here in a couple of weeks. The prices increase. If you want to buy tickets, now's the time to do it because the prices will increase after Thursday, February 13th. If you are going, I would love to go. Trust me. Trans World is on my bucket list. But right now, it's unfortunately, once again, not in the cards. But it looks like a great time. I think the last I heard, I believe they've actually taken away the rule where you have to have a business license or a pay stub from an actual haunt to get onto the trade show floor. So hopefully that's the case, and a lot more people get to go.
That would be amazing.
It would. I know local-wise, Horror Hound, I will be going to Horror Hound from the 21st to the 23rd. That's why in March, there will be no show that week. Unless I do something live from Horror Hound itself.
And if you need help with that, I will help.
Thank you. I think Raz said last night that they're looking to go at least on just Friday night because that's Brooke's 21st birthday, and she wants to have her first. I'm gonna say legal drink. I don't know if she drinks or not, but legal drink at Horror Hound. So I think they're going for the one nights. Plus, if you're in Louisville, or you go to the Louisville Trucking Convention, the truck show in Louisville, I believe we are heading down there for a couple of days. Or at least Thursday. Can't remember if it's Thursday or Friday we might go. I believe it's Thursday we usually go down. It's a trade show for truckers. Her family, my wife's family's in the trucking business, so you can keep an eye out for me down there as well if you're in Louisville. Other than that, I'm trying to see. So there was a decline in sales like across the board for the 2024 Halloween season, between decorations, between haunted house, like the haunt industry in general kind of suffered a little bit, with ticket sales being dramatically down. Now, I don't know if it's because the economy, I would be my biggest guess was people couldn't afford to go or just couldn't justify spending the amounts that a lot of haunts are charging.
Unfortunately, that was my problem. I had to choose kid things over my fun this year, and it made me so sad.
And unfortunately, those are choices that a lot of people have to make sometimes. You know, that's why being an adult sucks. But I guess there's high hopes for this season. The industry itself is expecting growth amid a broader mix of licensed merchandise, expansion of offerings, and Halloween falling on a Friday. There's a lot of new content coming, so I think this year will be fine, and 2026 will be great, said Tara Kortner, president and general manager at Disguise. One thing that's going to suck, though, is Party City is gone.
Yes.
And they had a lot of cool. They started to get into the some pretty cool stuff into the animatronic and props. The area. Not to mention, they were one of the cheaper places in town to get some Halloween decorations. So hopefully somebody can pick up the slack from them. So we can have some cheap props. Blood shouldn't be $20. I shouldn't have to pay $20 for a bottle of blood.
Very true.
Especially when I can make it myself for a lot cheaper. Also in the convention front, the Texas Haunters Convention. Their tickets are going to go on sale on March 1st. This is a Haunters Convention in Irving, Texas. I don't know how close that is to you, Jen.
A little bit away, actually.
So that won't be. I don't know if that will be on your list or not to check out. I know that I think the Texas Haunters is open to everybody, not just home haunters and stuff like that, or not like professional haunters, home haunters, and that. They have basically like transfer where you had to show the business license. Other than that, that looks like all of the haunted house news for haunt industry news for the week.
It's 4 hours, 20 minutes away.
Wow. Yeah, isn't that because that's near Dallas, isn't it?
Yeah, just on the other side. To be honest.
Yeah, it's like I said, I always remember. I think Irving, Texas, used to be like where the Rangers had their stadium before they moved to Arlington. No, Dallas used to have a stadium in Irving. That's right. The Cowboys, not the Texas Rangers. The Cowboys had their stadium in Irving, Texas, for the longest time. I only remember this because growing up, I was a Redskins fan, and I hated Dallas so much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's my daughter's favorite team.
I believe it. Well, I mean, I grew up 3 hours away from Washington, D.C. I spent a lot of my weekends in Washington, D.C., especially when I became an adult and was able to go by myself. Washington, D.C. was the big hangout spot. It was only a 3-hour drive. We could drive up there and then come back the same night. And the best part about Washington, D.C. is you can just park your car somewhere and then hop on the metro and get everywhere you need to be. Like, you don't have to drive around the city trying to find places to park. You just go park in a garage, spend, at least at the time, $10, $15 to park for the night. And then you can just pay, I think it's like $5. I think it used to be, and most of the trips on the most of the one-way trips on the DC Metro used to be like $3-4 at the absolute most. So yeah, and that's why I'm a big fan of a lot of Washington teams like the Nationals, the Redskins, the Capitals. Was never a fan. Was never a fan of like the Bullets or whatever the Wizards. I think they call themselves. Is what they call them. Now, I've never been a big basketball fan myself. And when I did watch basketball, because I grew up in the '90s, I was a Chicago Bulls fan.
Of course.
Because I mean, you grow up in the go ahead.
Looney Tunes, you have to be.
Well, not just Looney Tunes. Michael Jordan was bigger than life, was larger than life.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, let's see. I'm trying to find. So I apologize ahead of time again. I'm literally doing the news as we're going. Been a lot of messed up stuff this week. Not really messed up, but just been way too busy this week, and I should have been prepared. This is once again my fault, but I think it goes better this way too sometimes. We got that. Good.
I enjoy this way. I enjoy the other way. I'm just enjoying talking to somebody that's over 5.
So this week we do have a horror movie coming out in major cinemas. It did come out today. The Hard Eyes Killer came out, and I haven't seen. I've seen articles. Yeah, Hard Eyes is what it's called. I've seen articles on reviews and stuff like that. I've not looked at it because I kind of want to go see it myself. I believe we've got The Monkey coming out soon as well. February 21st, so 2 weeks for Stephen King's The Monkey to come out, and that actually looks good. There's another Disney-inspired slasher. Gotta open this one up. I Heart Willie. If you're someone who's been looking forward to the rush of public domain character-inspired horror films hitting our screens this year, you're in luck. You can now watch the first 4 minutes of I Heart Willie, the new slasher inspired by the first ever Mickey Mouse short created by Walt Disney. Of course, they are talking about Steamboat Willie, shot on location in, I apologize to anybody from Mexico, I'm going to butcher the hell out of this name, Michoacan, Mexico. I Heart Willie is directed by Alejandro G. Allegra from a script produced by David Vaughn, who also stars in the film as Willie himself, alongside Maya Luna, Micho Camacho, Sergio Rojalto, and Daniela Porras. Again, I apologize if I butchered any of these names. I took 1 year of Spanish and failed. The film's logline is as follows. Popular YouTubers Daniel and Nico are invited to investigate a haunted property drawn by rumors of a malevolent force. Legend centers around a boy born with deformities resembling a human-mouse hybrid who inspired Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie. So they're actually including Disney in this movie. Abused and isolated, the boy now known as Willie crafts a bodysuit from the skins of trespassers. Over the years, his gruesome legacy fades into folklore until a series of disappearances sparks renewed interest. As Daniel and Nico set up for a night of thrills, they unknowingly step into a deadly game of survival. That sounds actually pretty good. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely sounds interesting.
We're thrilled to bring I Heart Willie to audiences everywhere, says executive producer Princeton Holt. The film was made with the fans in mind, and we can't wait for it to be an unforgettable experience. Packed with scares, thrills, and a great time for everyone, we are confident I Heart Willie will become a cult classic, leaving fans talking long after the credits roll. By the way, speaking of end credits, don't leave too early or you might miss something. So it does seem that with all these Disney movies that are getting ready to come out, these Disney horror movies, a lot of them are trying to focus on Mickey.
I see that a lot, even in video games. They always have something not the best to say about Mickey.
Oh, come on. You're trying to say South Park has it wrong?
No, I'm not saying that Mickey's the best. I'm just not telling my kid how bad the company actually is. And it's kind of funny sometimes seeing what they do to Mickey and how they either put him down or portray him.
Well, I think because he's the representation of Walt Disney, who, at the end of the day, if the rumors are true, was not necessarily the best person. But he's also the face of a multi-billion-dollar corporation that kind of puts profits over kids' enjoyment anymore.
Yes.
The proof being, if you look at some of these YouTubers and bloggers from Disney right now, they're tearing everything up. Like anything from the original Disney almost is getting ready to be gone. Like they just shut down last month. They just shut down Big Thunder Mountain. at Magic Kingdom, one of the original roller coasters, one of the original rides from Disney. They're going to refurbish it, and I think they're going to change it a little bit. They took Song of the South out and switched it up, and a lot of people don't like the new one. Tiana's like Magical Adventure or something like that. A lot of people don't like it. They say it's not as entertaining, that there's a lot less animatronics and things going on than there were in Splash Mountain. But at the end of the day, too, it comes down to nostalgia. And I've only ever been to Disney twice my entire life. And the last time we went was the first and only time I'll ever get to ride Splash Mountain, the original Splash Mountain.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah.
I will never get to. I have never been.
It's expensive. It's not cheap anymore. It is definitely not an affordable trip anymore. Like, if you want to go down and you want to stay 5 days, and that includes, I'm not even including gas or anything like that, but the hotel and tickets to the park, they're going to cost you a minimum of almost $1,100 to $1,200 a person. And for me, at least, that is just not feasible.
That's not feasible for me, too.
It's not feasible for men. Yeah. Good.
We did good to go to the zoo and to the science museum. And that was just a couple hours to walk around. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed my 2 trips to Disney. I've enjoyed my couple of trips to Universal. But it's just, I can't, we can't afford it. But yeah, there's a lot of Steamboat Willie movies. Like, there's a new one. Hold on, let me bring Tubi up real quick. Because there's a new one, not just Mousetrap. Mousetrap is available on Tubi and a lot of other places. But there is also another Mickey Mouse one that just got released. I want to say on the 1st. Where is it? I'm trying to find it now. Where is it? Because you have Mousetrap that's let me search his birth. What is wrong with you? What the hell? Okay, I'm not gonna be able to look for it. Something's going on with Tubi.
Oh yeah, I had to search on Facebook to find the Sorceress movie because their thing, it said it was supposed to be back up by 11:45, but it's still not up.
I mean, I watched it earlier.
Yeah, I mean the search engine.
Oh yeah, the search. There's something wrong with the search. Yeah. See, I was able to search it though earlier too. At least on my PlayStation, I didn't get on the computer because I was gonna watch it on the big TV and then bring it in here. I had to come into the computer room basically because it just wasn't cooperating. In there, we'll talk about the darkness and the filming and everything, but it was very, very dark. Let's put it that way.
Yes,
the lighting in this movie was not up to par, if you will. So here's something me and Raz talked about last night. Raz actually informed me of this because I didn't know this. Apparently, they are working on a reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
I did not know this. Joss Whedon, of course, will not be involved. And like I brought up to him, I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought the Slayers were supposed to be teenagers. Sarah Michelle Gellar is my age. So I guess they're talking there's going to be multiple Slayers and things like that. So it's like, okay, that fine.
There was multiple Slayers when the show ended.
Yes. Wasn't there multiple Slayers during the show too? Because her and was it Chloe was her name? Or Zoe?
Yes. She died, literally outright died, and they brought her back, and that enacted the other Slayers to wake up. Okay. Well, that part of them to wake up, and then next thing they know, there's many.
Yes.
And they start training them.
I will be the first to admit I never really got into the TV show. Like a lot of people did. I love the movie. Go ahead,
I
Brandy.
did too. I was going to say that's great, and I love the movie too.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I couldn't get into the show. I never really got into supernatural in that either, growing, when I was younger. But it's one of those things where I could probably go back and watch it now and go, "Hey, why did I not watch this?"
I would have figured you would have liked at least Supernatural.
I just there was something about CW growing up that the channel in general I wanted nothing to do with almost. Like I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. Plus, when I was in my 20s, I was out and about. I was working for the year-round haunted house at the time. I was going out with friends and things like that. And I just never really. I didn't really watch a lot of TV. I watched movies. I didn't really watch too many TV shows. I think because to this day, I'm not gonna lie, I hate ads. I hate commercials. I will always change the channel. Like if I'm watching TV or something, I will always change the channel to something else if a commercial comes on, and then completely forget to change it back to the show I was just watching. And I think even when I was younger, I did the same thing, and I think that's why TV shows and me just don't get along until now with Netflix and everything else that I could binge watch. Not really binge watch, but I could watch the whole shows. Plus the whole like cliffhanger stuff used to piss me off.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I grew up in an era where I had to watch Dallas and stuff with my mom, and we're watching, Who Shot JR? Come to find out yeah, go ahead.
It's a continuous cliffhanger.
Yeah, because you come to find out the next day it was a fucking dream. And even as a kid, I'm going, well, that's bullshit. Like that's a cop out. Come on.
Yes.
Same thing with The Simpsons. Who shot Mr. Burns? Then it was the fucking baby. Spoiler alert from a show that came on 30 years ago.
If they don't know by now, it doesn't matter. They can go watch it on Disney.
Yes. South Park did the same thing. Who's Cartman's mom? Or who's Cartman's dad? Then they come out. I still remember that episode because I did laugh at this one, and I still laugh to this day. They make you wait the whole summer to find out who Cartman's dad is, only to air the episode on April 1st, which is April Fool's Day, of course. Turn around and say April Fool's, and then air Terrence and Phillip episode instead. And then you listen to them talk now, like they were getting legitimate death threats for doing that. People were kind of pissed.
Well, yeah.
Like, you made us wait 6 months, and you couldn't even tell us who his fucking father was?
Basically.
Let's see what else we got going on. We got Hayden Panettiere's back in the news. Somebody found her. I guess she's going to lead the cast of psychological thriller Sleepwalker. Well, I guess she was in Scream 4 and that. I haven't seen her in anything, honestly, since Heroes. The guy who wrote, Brandon Allman, writer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour, penned the screenplay for the show. Is it a show or a movie? Take it back. I think it's a movie. Because she's set to star in psychological thriller Sleepwalker from Verity Productions and Leonardo DiCaprio's Appian Way Productions. Deadline reports today. There's really not much known about the script or anything yet. Filming on the thriller recently wrapped in Rhode Island. And then just some quotes from the people who worked on the show. So yeah, Hayden Panettiere is going to be back. So if you want to save the cheerleader to save the world, you get to watch her now in a psychological thriller. I have not watched. I know they have this new Jurassic World trailer out as well. I have not watched it. I have not seen it yet. I think I heard something about a mutant dinosaur in it now.
Yes. Apparently the dinosaurs are the ones that were too scary, too dangerous to put in the other parks. They're somehow worse than and more dangerous than the ones they had before.
Which, dinosaurs in general are pretty dangerous as they're gigantic and about as clumsy as me, probably.
And my son picked up on that and he's like, how are they worse, mommy? And I'm like, I don't know yet.
It's like, now we're just getting to the silly part of it.
When my 5-year-old is like, what? How does that make sense?
Yes. But you gotta love it, though. When a kid sits there and goes, well, that's bullshit. You might want to listen. You might want to listen to him.
It's always fun to listen to Dante.
It's just fun in general to listen to Dante and other young kids when they sit there and go, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Exactly.
Like, well, if it doesn't make sense to a 5-year-old, maybe it's time to rethink your movie. So, moving on to the next story, though. Hatchet director Adam Green's Ascent is like his Frozen movie, but sharks. I love Adam Green. We met him last year. We actually got him to sign a copy of Hatchet, Hatchet 2 to be specific. I actually own all the Hatchet movies, including Victor Crowley. I love the Hatchet film franchise. But he made a movie called Frozen about, and I remember this from Blockbuster, and this is not my style of movie. It's basically a kind of like a thriller, really not horror, but it's a thriller. It could be a horror, I guess. I think there's wolves involved. Where basically these 3 guys get stuck on a ski lift overnight, and they have to basically fight the elements. And I think there's wolves and other things around. Again, something I didn't watch the movie. It's just something that doesn't resonate with me. Basically, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But director Adam Green has been off the feature film radar for several years, but he is making his return with Ascent, currently in pre-production, according to Deadline. The film is being touted as similar in narrative to his 2010 survival film Frozen, in which a group of friends get stranded on a ski lift in freezing weather. Deadline gives readers a synopsis of Ascent. The picture follows a group of friends who arrive in Europe for a glamorous but daring destination wedding. The fun and games turn into a nightmare when they find themselves precariously suspended above shark-infested waters and in a battle for survival. Green, an avid horror fan, put to use his love for the genre with a trilogy of Hatchet films. There's like 5 Hatchet films. Starting in 2006, they were an homage to 80s slashers and featured many celebrated stars that came from that genre. Now the director does a podcast with Joe Lynch called The Movie Crypt, in which they interview different pop culture celebrities. Their last interview was with Matthew Lillard back in December. Ascent will be the... Go ahead.
I said, that is awesome. There was a pause, so I said, that is cool.
Ascent will be the first film for the production company Simple House Films as they go international by launching an international sales arm at the EFM European film market. I'd be interested only because I love Adam Green. I love his movies, and what he's done before. Especially, like I said, the Hatchet series. Don't care about Sundance. We talked about that. Okay, we've already talked about a lot of this stuff on this website. And if I know, I'm on Bloody Disgusted now, trying to find some news stories, but a lot of their stuff's going to be reviews. Well, here we go. This will be our last story for right now. And we'll look, maybe we'll be gone. We've almost got an hour. We might do some silly news in that if I can find something. But so we got the first week of February releases for this week. Of course, you can rent Wolfman for $19.99 or purchase it for $24.99. I would assume on websites like Amazon Prime and things like that. Of course, we have Hard Eyes that came out this week. The newest Valentine's horror movie. We have a movie called Dark Nuns. 2 nuns will put their souls at risk when they violate the church's order in the Korean exorcism horror movie Dark Nuns. Now playing in the United States theaters from Well Go USA after topping the South Korean box office upon release just last month. I would assume this is what they call a limited release, which would be in like your major cities, and that usually it's like New York, LA, Nashville, Phoenix, big cities like that, probably Dallas near you or Houston. That's what I would assume that you can see that one at. And finally, we have Are You There? A deadly game of 20 questions proves that some questions are best left unanswered. In Are You There, which Dark Sky Films released in select theaters and on digital today. So those are your 4 releases for the week. That'll probably be all the news for the horror movie news we have for the week. Just because, like I said, there's not much going on that we can really do on here because I don't want to do reviews. I can't show trailers really. I know I got to be a little more prepared. Let me bring up Coast to Coast. We can see if there's anything cool in here we can talk about. Australian man horrified to discover 102 snakes living in his yard. That's Australia, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Here we go. In our latest edition of Put It the Fuck Back, excavation near Jerusalem finds 9,000-year-old 6-fingered Neolithic shaman woman. Put it back. The woman had 6 fingers on her left hand, a characteristic that in ancient cultures was often interpreted as a sign of distinction and spiritual authority. Were you going to say something, Jen? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you didn't interrupt. I just sinusy.
Okay. Making sure. I am literally going to start. I'm going to start a thread on either the Facebook group or on X with just put it the fuck back.
Do both.
Like, this is a recent study published in the. Go ahead.
And please fix it where pages can share stuff as well. Put it the fuck back, please. That would be appreciated. That way, Owlite can help you put stuff there.
I did not even know that you couldn't share my stuff.
Well, they can't. Pages can't share into the group, and sometimes they can't even comment.
Wow, that's weird. I thought I had it open to the public. I have to take a look at that when I'm done. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you have to click a weird thing. Please continue.
Yes. A recent study published in the journal Adequate, probably not the way that's said, but described a tomb found at the Matzah archaeological site in the hills of Jerusalem, dating back to the pre-pottery Neolithic B period. The excavations at Matzah, conducted between 2018 and 2020, uncovered one of the largest concentrations of settlements from this period in the area. Put it back. The research was carried out before the construction of Highway 16, the third access road to Jerusalem from the west. So they potentially just opened up the fucking apocalypse for a highway. The tomb contained the remains of a woman who may have played a spiritual role or acted as a shaman in her community. Anatomical analysis indicates that the woman was over 15 years old at the time of her death. Notably, she had 6 fingers on her left hand, a characteristic that in ancient cultures was often interpreted as a sign of distinction or spiritual authority. Funerary objects found alongside the woman, including green stone necklaces and mother-of-pearl jewelry, reinforced the hypothesis of her importance within Neolithic society. Most individuals were buried with decorations such as stone bracelets, pendants, and beads, made from exotic materials like alabaster and green stones. According to researchers, the stone bracelets found in some graves are associated with transition rituals between life and death. The discovery of the ancient shaman's tomb in Matsa opens a window into the spiritual world of communities that lived approximately 10,000 years ago, said Eli Escocido, director of the Israel Antiquities Authority. These remains show how complex and rich cultural beliefs of ancient humanity were, he continued. Researchers suggest that children wore the stone bracelets until adolescence. Upon reaching a certain age, they participated in an initiation ceremony, similar to modern transition rituals like the bar and the bat mitzvah in Jewish traditions. Those who died before reaching maturity were buried with their bracelets, which have been found intact on their arms. Numerous burials were discovered within the houses, under the floors, and near the walls of the dwellings. Researchers and scholars suggest that rituals were conducted in large public buildings designated for this purpose. So they buried their dead in their house.
Yes. It was common, even in America, to find dead bodies in the basement.
That is so weird. Yeah, but in America, when they find a body in a basement, it's usually because that guy has killed 60 people.
Sometimes it's just your grandma in times, so...
Yeah, that doesn't make it less creepy.
I didn't say it was less creepy. I said it was
Yeah.
common.
I know. It's still weird to me. It's like, where are we going to bury grandma? In the kitchen. So, yeah. That is our weekly put it the fuck back story. Because you know what you should do with that body? Put it the fuck back.
I agree. Let it rest.
There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of movies out there, not just horror movies, but action movies and things like that, of people moving bodies. And you know what it does when you move the body? It kind of pisses people off. It kind of pisses the spirit off.
Oh, yeah.
There's literally, you can go watch Poltergeist, one of my favorite horror movies growing up. You know what they did when the shit started hitting the fan? They put the skull back. But all right, we've been running for about an hour now. We're going to go ahead and take our break really quick. When we come back, we're going to dive into 1982's Sorceress. We'll be right back. Do you have anything else to add real quick, Jen, before we go to break?
Do not mess with the things that are buried. And just leave them alone. Let them rest, please. That would be better for all. And I'll see you when we come back.
Especially if it's a priest or a shaman or something with 6 fingers or things like that, there's a reason to just put it back. Leave it alone. Let it stay there. Dig it up and go, oh, we found this. This is where it's going to stay.
Exactly.
All right, guys. We'll see you here in about 3 minutes. See you then.
and Shabibans. We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And just like that, we're back.
Yay! And I am so proud of that beautiful Faye footage.
It is very lovely. But welcome back, everybody, to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am your host, Sewer Dweller, and of course, once again joining me is Friday.
Hi!
And today we are deep diving 1982 Jim Wynorski movie, Sorceress. So the movie is written and directed by Jack Hill and Jim Wynorski. However, Jack Hill is not credited as with a writing credit because apparently Roger Corman, who is the producer, apparently Roger Corman promised way better special effects than we got in this film. And Jack Hill, basically because of how crappy the effects are, we'll talk about that as we go through, but how bad the effects are, Jack Hill's like, I don't want my fucking name on this movie. So he is still the director, but he uses his pseudonym. Or I guess a pseudonym for his name. That's the word I'm looking for, right? Or a surname.
Pseudonym.
I think it's pseudonym. I was pretty... he uses the pseudonym Brian Stewart is the name he went under to direct it, again, because he was apparently embarrassed by the effects in the movie. And my only thing to that is, dude, if you're the director, isn't that kind of your job to try to figure out how to make the effects better?
Supposed to be, yes.
The movie stars Lee Harris and Lynette Harris as Mira and Mara. They are legitimate twin sisters. They have appeared in Playboy magazine and a whole 2 movies. This movie and I, the Jury. Let me make sure. That's Lee Harris, Lynette Harris. Yep. They were born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And they, like I said, their credits are 2 whole movies. Like I said, they did pose for Playboy. Doesn't say what year or anything on their biography here. That's really just nothing on them because I guess it's all nothing. They're only in 2 movies. We have Roberto Nelson, who plays Erlich, the barbarian. He went by Bob Nelson apparently. Let's see, he was in 10 movies. He has 10 movies to his credit. All of them are Spanish, I would assume Mexican movies. Outside of a movie called The Bees in 1978. He would only make 3 more movies after Sorceress. And then apparently leave Hollywood altogether. David Milburn plays Pondo. I don't know who Pondo is or Pando. They did really. I'm gonna tell you right now, they did really bad with names in this movie. I'm gonna forget a lot of names going through this because we have Bruno Ray, who played Baldar the Viking. Again, 221 credits. So he had an extensive career, but I'm not going to try to say a lot of these names because, again, I failed Spanish, and these are a lot of Spanish names.
I did too.
He was in Banditos in 1991. I've heard of that one. Vengeance of Punks. Yeah, I mean, he's got a really, really big, really large career. You know, he had a really good career. Anna de Sade, or Sade, or Sade as Delicia. I'm assuming that's the princess. Again, 21 movies. Most of them are are Spanish. She was in Caveman. She was in Bordello, High Risk, Day of the Bricklayers, Triumphs of a Man Called Horse. So, and finally, we'll stop here. Roberto Ballesteros as Traigon, the evil sorcerer. Once again, large, and I'm talking, he is still active in Hollywood or in the film industry. Everything's in Spanish. I don't want to try to say any of these names because, like I said, I flunked Spanish and I don't want to butcher them and offend people. So, but yeah, he's had a long, long career. Here we go, Krona. Martin LaSalle is Krona. I believe he is the. Krona was the good wizard, right? Like the one who saved him at the beginning.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. I called him Jesus because he looked like Jesus.
Understandable. I was thinking more like Noah, but yeah.
Kind of Noah, like when with the older version, yeah, I can see Noah or like Moses. It's kind of weird because what I will tell you I will say this before the movie starts. They don't really give us a time period of when this movie's taking place. And it was a little weird because it's like, well, it looks like ancient, Israel or the Middle East. Then they're like Vikings and there's barbarians and okay.
Yes. It had added very odd ways of like having different cultures in it.
Yes. So let's go ahead and let's get started on this dive. Again, I apologize ahead of time if I forget names or things like that because these are it was really hard to keep up with the names and things like that. The names especially in the movie. And there's a lot of weird shit coming your way, guys. So the movie opens up. We get about almost like a whole minute worth of opening credits. But the movie opens up on a bunch of people riding on horses. The gentleman in the red cloak is Traigon. He's given the orders to the soldiers to collect basically to kill everybody and get the baby. So they arrive at this campsite, and there's only like 4 people at this campsite. The younger guy tries to defend him. He gets killed. Grandma starts running away with a baby. Grandpa gets killed. I'm calling them Grandpa and Grandma. These are 2 older folks. I'm assuming they were the parents of the mother of the children. Grandma goes to run away. They catch her, and just as they're about to stab her, Traigon tells them, "Be careful of the child." The soldier literally stops what he's doing, looks back, and goes, "Oh, okay." Raises up her robe and stabs her in the stomach. I had to laugh at that because he's like going to stab her in the chest, and he's like, "No, make sure you don't hurt the baby." Oh yeah. Excuse me, Grandma. Raises her robot and just stabs. I thought that was go ahead.
Yeah, it was very odd.
So now both older folks are dead. The one younger guy who was with them is dead. It turns out that Traigon is the father of the child, and he needs his firstborn child to finish a ceremony to bring forth a god to get the power from her. Then he discovers that they are twins. There are 2 children. And now he's confused because he has to kill the firstborn. So he somehow has to figure out which one was born first. He asks the mother, and the mother pretty much tells him to go fuck himself. So they bring out this torture device called the Talon. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said yes.
Yeah. So they bring out this torture device called the Talon. And he tells her that, if you either tell me who, which one's the firstborn, or you'll never have any more children. It's like, well, he's probably going to kill her anyway, so I'm pretty sure that's not really that's an empty threat. So he has the soldier start using the Talon on her. And I'm assuming they're just like scraping away the skin by the stomach. They don't really show us what's going on with it. They do it a couple of times, and he stops and tells her, it's, you can stop this right now. Just tell me which one is which. She yells out a name, and then all of a sudden, lightning comes from behind. I think she yells out for Krona. Lightning hits a tree behind them. They turn around, and there is a dude literally dressed like Jesus. I'm talking long hair, like long brown hair, beard, robes, has that orange like scarf tunic thing kinda, and beads. And I swear to God, this guy I thought it was Jesus at first. Which made me laugh a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
I can see that. I'm like, why is Moses coming?
Yeah. But alas, it is Krona. He is a good sorcerer, assumingly. Traigon sends the soldiers after him. He easily disperses. Like, Traigon basically goes, "Look, he's unarmed. Get him." Dude throws a spear at him. He catches a spear, throws it back, kills him. So apparently, he not only is he Jesus Christ, he's John Wick.
Yes,
because he just easily kicks the shit out of these like 5 or 6 soldiers. Then him and Traigon face off, and he asks Traigon if this is his first or third life. Apparently, Traigon only gets 3 lives. He gets the same amount of lives as wishes you would get if you found a genie.
That was hilarious too.
So they face off, and needless to say, just as they're about to fight, the mom comes alive and stabs Traigon, killing him, and he puts a curse about, the next time the moon hits the dragon phase, or whatever. I didn't really pay attention to what the spell was. Traigon dies and just disappears in a green glow, in a really cheesy green glow. Where's the names again? Krona walks over and checks on the mom, who basically said, she knows she's dying, so he asks her to take care of her children, and he says, "Okay, yes, I will take care of your children. I will make sure I will raise them up to be warriors and sorcerers." And she goes, "They are but they are girl children." And you just see him go, "Son of a bitch!" Because apparently he can't train females. Like, he literally looks up and goes, "You playing with me, right?" To the gods. And I had to laugh at that because it's like, he's just like, "They're girls? Shit."
And it's insulting. It's like, why can't we be warriors too? We can kick ass too.
But he still gives them power. They glow, they glow blue, and he tells them they'll be warriors and all this stuff. It's like, well, that didn't seem hard at all.
No, it's
why?
Like, let's just skip all the training montage.
It's like, why was this a problem a minute ago?
That is a good question.
Like, he had a real problem with them being like training them to be wizard or warriors because they're females. Dude, this, I don't even think that was okay in 1982.
Nope.
So he brings them to this couple that he knows, who also have a baby at the time, and leaves them there and tells them basically that, eventually some men will come looking for them. Do your best to protect them. The mom takes both babies, and she essentially says, and this kind of grossed me out a little bit, I'm not going to lie. "Hey, don't worry, I have enough to feed all three of them."
In all honesty, that is one heck of a milk producer. And coming from a woman's standpoint, there are plenty of women who give shelters and other in families where the mom has died, they help make sure the milk supply is backed up. But to be just like, you know what? Yeah, sure, we'll just adopt them on the spot. No worries.
Yeah.
That takes, to me, that would take a little bit of thought, though.
Oh yeah, no, they didn't even think about it. They're like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, you know what? Traigon or Krona says to do this. All right, guess we got to do it. Like, you want to stop and think about this for a minute? No, I got plenty of milk. Don't worry about it. So they basically, and it's funny because it immediately goes from that scene to a scene with a bunch of soldiers with torches walking into a field. And the princess shows up, and they start talking about it's been 20 years. And I'm like, where did you tell us we've just moved ahead 20 years?
That was their version of a few minutes later.
They didn't even give us a graphic.
Nope, and it's like, why? This movie just moves at weird clicks.
Like, it just pops up, like, it literally, and I'm not even joking, it goes from the end of that scene with the mom breastfeeding the child, and she does whip it out the breastfeed, and immediately goes to this scene where the soldiers are walking in with the torches and their weapons and that. They form a line, and the princess is ready to bring back Traigon, and she's telling us it's been 20 years since he left us, and it's like, wait a minute. How fucking hard would it have been to put a 20 years later graphic on the bottom of the screen?
Too hard, apparently.
Is that not in the budget? But yes, she's there, and as soon as the moon hits this one spot on this medallion, on this like sundial almost, Traigon will return. Now let's ignore the fact that there's randomly a panther behind her. There's a gong. They have to hit the gong for it, I guess, them to appear. And there's a dude in a monkey suit.
Yeah, that's odd.
Think he's supposed to be an actual monkey, but it's clearly a guy in a rubber suit. Again, apparently they didn't have the budget. And it's when he comes back, the soldiers are just like, they're not even, or the priests, I assume, who were supposed to be summoning him back or something. They're doing the whole thing where they're like they're supposed to be blocking like their eyes from the bright light, but they're barely doing it. They're just essentially going with the flow, going, oh no. Like somebody who's ironically blocking their eyes, not actually blocking their eyes.
Yeah.
He shows up, and immediately the princess disrobes into an outfit that is barely hiding anything. And what does Traigon do? He walks right the fuck past her. Like, she is offering herself to him, and he just goes, nah, I'm good. And walks right by her to address his soldiers, and he essentially tells them to go looking for the two who are one. Needless to say, he wants them to go find the twins. We now cut to a river where the twins have now grown up. And we have two naked women swimming in the river. Not passable at all.
Nope.
So they basically have that scene lasts for a little bit too. Like, it's almost like 3 or 4 minutes of them just swimming around. Until we see a hand. And this guy is creepy. Which is why I went with his picture. This goat guy, which I know there's a name for the beast. I just can't think of it for some reason.
It's a dude. I knew it when I was watching the movie. Now it's just
like
gone.
it's a mythical, name for it.
Pan comes to mind, but I can't remember what Pan is.
A satyr or a satyr?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes, I think our satire maybe, Satyr. Wish they would tell us how to say it. Of course, they don't.
Satyr.
A satyr.
Yeah,
okay, so he's a satyr. So he's a satyr. He's essentially a goat guy. He's half goat, half man. Doesn't talk at all. He just bahs the entire movie. He's watching them swim around. And there's even a point where they go, "What's that between his legs? Is that a weapon?" So naturally, they get out of the water and kick his ass.
Yeah.
They just basically punch him and then kick him, all while butt ass naked.
Their lack of understanding the difference of physiology of male and female is profound.
Yes. So I'd put it around 11:25. You get your first nudity in this movie, of a lot more to come. It is a Jim Wynorski movie. So the goat guy runs, or the satyr runs off, or satyr runs off. We cut back to the village that we can basically assume is the girls, Mira and Mara. It's their village, where the soldiers have started invading. They're going around, they're burning down huts, they're killing people. They take this one girl who's screaming, bring her into a shed, and essentially rape her. They don't show it, but they bring her dress, her skirt, or the bottom of her robes, or whatever they're wearing, up, maybe a tunic, and it's kind of obvious what they're about to do to this woman. I do know that this turns out to be their sister, the other child. They kill the mother, and then they surround the father, and they want the child. He tries to fight back, but he gets arrowed as well. That's when Mira and Mara show up and start glowing blue. And they essentially start kicking some ass. They end up killing all the soldiers, and then because it's funny, they shoot an arrow at one of them, and she catches it and shoots it right back at him. They end up even getting the head guard, or the head soldier, who doesn't die yet. He survives his arrow shot to the back, and has a miraculous recovery in like less than 2 days.
It's like, wow.
So the fighting's done, and they look over, and there's the satyr with a Viking. This would be Baldar. I call him a Viking because he's wearing a Viking hat and all that good stuff. He checks on the father, basically. The father's dead. They're upset. Asks him if they want to bury him or put him in the fire. They answer that the fire is the way of their people, so they burn the bodies. And he makes it an oath to protect them, essentially. Oh, wait. So fucking Jesus shows back up at the most inopportune time known to man. It's like, where were you 5 minutes ago when my parents were being murdered?
Yeah.
So Krona shows up, gives him his power, and goes, all right, time to fucking die. And just walks right into the fire. How about you stay and help them like you were supposed to?
Instead, we have that quick training montage where he just gives over the powers. And the other thing that confuses me is the lack of emotion.
Yes.
I remember my parents dying. I cried.
Yes. Well, and the thing about it is, I don't think these two are the best actresses, the twins. Needless to say, it kind of just seems like they're there because they're not afraid to take their clothes off.
They have nice forms.
Yes. But I just found it funny, like, this is when I was like, oh, he's more like Moses now. Mm-hmm. You know, has his little giant walking stick, gray hair, gray beard. Gives him literally gives him his powers. And these two he's like, here, I need to give you my power. And they're like, okay, here you go. And just hand him their hands. Like, they don't question shit.
No, it's weird.
He gives him his power, and he's like, all right, time to die. And literally walks into the fire. Even the Vikings like, hey, dude, why? Like, are you dying? Nope, it's just time for me to die. Or, do you have a disease? Are you sick? Nope, just time for me to die. You want to give me a fucking hand here with these two? Nope, time to die. So he walks in, he dies. Mira and Mara decide, or I guess the Viking kind of decides it for them, to form a party to go looking for a friend of his. So they end up in this town. This is where I'm like, oh, okay, so it kind of looks like Jerusalem. Maybe how you would think Jerusalem would have looked back in, the pre-Christ days. And while they're there, they witness somebody get their hands cut off. It was a thief. And yeah, just whack, hands are gone. Now he's going to be a beggar, apparently, and there's essentially no reason to even show this scene unless maybe you want to establish that, the leaders back then were mean or something, or evil. But we go to this den of gambling, this gambling den, and the first thing we see is a woman in, again, an outfit where her breasts are fully on display. And then we see a bunch of other, and it's almost like I want to say a strip club, in all honesty, because these girls are dancing. They're giving table dances, lap dances, all that kind of stuff. In various forms of undress. It is a brothel too, because we find out here in a little bit that there are people in back rooms having sex. But now we meet Erlich. Erlich the barbarian. He's gambling, wins 3 hands in a row, so of course it kind of pisses everybody else off who's playing with him. And especially this one really large guy. So, needless to say, he basically goes to get up to leave, goes to take his money. The first girl we saw who was in the state of undress, lands on his, sits on his lap, and he puts his dice in her bag almost. So they're obviously working together. He goes to leave. Big dude stops him, and fight breaks out. He beats up a lot of guys. He holds his own. That's when he gets to the back room because he's running away and he's stepping over these people who are sleeping, who are basically having sex. Then everybody chasing him end up stepping on the people who are having sex. He
That's
goes
very rude.
It is. It really is. Not even an excuse me. He ends up back in the same area where Baldar, I think Baldar. Yeah, Baldar's there. He helps fight the guys off. The girls end up taking out the really big dude with just like one punch. They start fighting people, and they're just doing like kicks and punches and stuff. It's nothing really, way out there. The fight's over. Baldar introduces him to the girls. They go and hide. And he tells them to wash off. And apparently Baldar this entire time thought they were guys. Because he does keep calling them lads. So they take their clothes off to wash off, and they're like, oh, you're girls. And the girls are confused. And they're like, what are girls? Not like boys? And they're still confused. Apparently, nobody taught them the difference between men and women.
No.
That was the weirdest fucking thing. They didn't know they were women. Because they didn't know what a woman was. And then it dawns on Baldur, they're like, oh, you also don't know what sex is.
Yeah.
So he's like, these women are in their 20s and I'm going to have a birds and the bees conversation with them? So they're both just standing there topless, or one standing there topless, and they're like, well, what's the difference between men and women? And Erlich's like, well, the breasts. And they're like, oh, these? Whips them out. We just thought they were there, we didn't know that they were anything different. I had to say, I did laugh at this scene because it's so fucking ridiculous.
Extremely.
That they didn't know what women were, or the difference between, like, they had parents. You mean to tell me they didn't teach you? Well, meanwhile, the whole time, the girl from earlier, the dancer from earlier, who was helping Baldric, did I say his name? Or Erlich, I'm sorry, Erlich, has followed them and just goes and rats on them to the princess. Erlich and Baldur leave the girls alone. Tell them to bolt the door, not to answer it or anything. They leave. A few minutes later, the dancer comes back, and she lies to them, says she's a friend of Erlich's and that Erlich's been caught. They open the door and immediately have nets thrown on them. And they're surrounded by soldiers. And the guy from earlier, whose arm is now in a sling, is there to capture them. Meanwhile, Baldur and Erlich are getting their, I guess, getting Erlich's swords and everything. We cut back, and the princess has shown up with a dude walking a leopard on a chain. Not to mention rubber ape guy. They have the girls tied up, and they're trying to figure out which one is the oldest one, and even the girls, of course, don't know. So the princess hands the head guard a potion to put into the fire that is supposed to help tell the difference of which one was born first. So they bring one up and shove her face straight into the fire, which doesn't really do any damage, except it does tell them that Mara is the firstborn, not Mira.
The plot armor is strong in this movie.
Yes. So Mara gets taken to Traigon. Mira is left. They're going to essentially give Mira... Apparently, at some point, the ape guy is promised Mira. Baldur and Erlich finally realize that the girls are gone, so they go to save them. Big fight takes place with swords and everything. They end up freeing Mira. Mara has already been, taken. They end up running away to the Forbidden Forest. We cut to Traigon, who basically, again, the princess is throwing herself at Traigon, and he basically tells her to fuck off. He's not going to have sex with her. He's not going to make love to her, because that would be against his religion or something. Apparently he's a Jedi all of a sudden. He can't have sex. So she gets pissed, and basically he says to the god, I think he says something along the lines with the gods will get angry if I have sex with you, and she's like, well, I don't care. I really want to just have sex. And he essentially tells her to fuck off. She sends the ape guy after Mira, the younger, I guess the second born, and tells the ape guy that if he brings her back, he can have her. Ape guy gets excited and goes running. Oh no, wait. I am jumped ahead. Mara, they did rescue Mara at this point. So Mira and Mara are in the dark forest hiding with basically the satyr, Erlich, and Baldar. That's why they send the monkey after them and tell him that if he brings them both back, he could have Mira because they need Mara for the sacrifice. Now we're 43 minutes into this movie and nothing has really fucking happened. Except a couple of really cheesy fights, you know?
Yeah.
Like this movie's half over. So the monkey, you see, not only do you see the one monkey, there are a bunch of these guys in rubber suits, and they start throwing this fruit, which apparently has laughing gas in it, or makes humans laugh uncontrollably. Except for Baldar. It has no effect on Baldar, who apparently has no sense of humor whatsoever until he shoots a monkey in the ass with an arrow. Which was pretty fucking funny.
Yes.
So they end up with Mara and Erlich. They do not get Mira. We cut to the castle, and now the head guard is without the sling, without any kind of injury whatsoever from getting shot in the back with an arrow. He heals quickly.
I wish I could heal that fast.
Oh, me too. My finger is still giving me issues. And we're about 3 weeks now since I've done this. Since I dislocated it.
Well, heck, it's been 20 years since I broke my ankle, and it still hurts.
Yes, that's been a year since I sprained mine at the dungeon last Valentine's Day, and I'm right there with you. Mine still hurts as well. Traigon meets Mara, introduces himself as her father, and she just, she gets pissed when he tells him he's Traigon. She's ready to fight, ready to kill him. Then he tells her he's her father, and she's like, "What? Yeah, I'm your real father." And she's just like, "Well, why did you kill our mother?" And I'm like, "Hold up. So they told these girls they were adopted. But nobody bothered to tell them, hey, not only that, you're female. You're a girl." Because again, let me remind you, Mira and Mara, the twins, do not know the difference between male and female. Or man and woman.
Makes no sense.
It truly, truly doesn't. But leave it to Jim Wynorski. So they take her, they lock her up. Erlich, they're going to, basically because he's a cheater, going to impale him. And when I say impale, they strip him naked, put him on a pole that is greased, and then put a pointy stick at the bottom that is literally, as he slides down, really close to going up his ass.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here going, I hope they're faking this, because if I was this actor, I'd be really fucking nervous.
He had a whole lot of faith.
Yes, he did, because that almost broke the dam. Like, that got really close in between there. Did you have anything else to say to that?
They were doing good at getting certain things correct for the time, like the torture techniques, but I couldn't have trusted those people that much.
Well, they end up stopping because they found the monkey finds Erlich's compass or some kind of medallion, and apparently he is from the old bloodline or the ancient bloodline. So now apparently this adds something to the sacrifice, where if the old bloodline mates with the firstborn,
His sperm helps for some odd reason.
Apparently, it makes it extra special.
It's that special sauce, man.
Apparently, Ehrlich has the special sauce because apparently it is really going to help. So they cut back. There's a quick conversation between Mira and Baldur. They cut back, and now Mara is dressed as a female, and she's drinking a potion, and apparently she's getting hypnotized by Traigon. She starts mentioning that there's a weird feeling in her body and her loins when she sees Ehrlich. So we cut to that basically. Traigon sends Mara back to her room. We cut to Ehrlich now getting massaged with oil by a couple of slave girls. He's butt-ass naked. The princess walks in, again, almost naked. They don't like clothes in this movie.
No.
The slave girls stop. Ehrlich stands up, and I swear to God, hello, guys, there's a penis.
Yes.
You get a brief shot of a dong. As Ehrlich stands up, they give him this potion, this drink, and again, literally 3 hours ago, they were going to kill this asshole. They were going to shove a pointy stick up his ass through his mouth and impale him. They hand him a goblet with a glowing green liquid in it, and he really easily, really quickly is like, oh yeah, sure, I'll drink this. No problem whatsoever. I'm going to question it personally.
The trust, man.
There is a lot of trust because I would have been questioning, why is it glowing? She tells him that it's the nectar of the gods. He drinks up. At this point, I'm thinking they're about to get it on. But no. Traigon shows up. Basically, she starts bad-mouthing Traigon and sends him... Does she send him up to the room? I think she sends him up to the room, and Traigon is hiding behind. So it turns out she's deceived Ehrlich. And now Ehrlich is in Mara's room, and it's time to get down. It is time to show Mara what a woman is. Now, are you ready to get weird again?
Always with you, buddy.
Because there's some Corsican brother shit going on here. For those who don't know, I believe they're the Corsican brothers. They were twin brothers that if you punched the twin on the left, it would actually hurt the one on the right. And vice versa. So Ehrlich and Mara start having sex. It cuts to Mira, who is in the woods with Baldur and the goat guy, who immediately starts having an orgasm. So apparently, when Mara is having sex, Mira is having sex.
Two is one, man.
And she starts grinding and moaning on the ground, and Baldur's just like, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, it must be Ehrlich. It could be Ehrlich. Da-da-da-da. They stop. She stops, and then all of a sudden starts moaning and groaning again because now it's time for round 2. And Baldur just laughs and goes, "Yep, it's Ehrlich." And he just looks so dejected, like, Jesus, I've got to sit here and watch this. Goat Guy's ready to get it on with her.
Uh-huh.
To the point where Baldur has to stop him, and Goat Boy throws a fit and runs away.
It's kind of saddening.
It's just weird as shit. We
Extremely.
cut to Traigon, who is now summoning fire, and that Erlich and Mara are still under the spell, because they keep drinking that nectar. Ape Guy is in the background, waiting for his prize, because his prize is still not arrived. And it's the night of the sacrifice. So, all right. So Mira and Baldur show up to the sacrifice. We get a fight between them and the guards. Baldur ends up getting shot with an arrow. They see Erlich and Mara standing up above, above the altar and that. Erlich and Mara. Baldur realizes that they're bewitched. He gets shot with an arrow. And then Traigon hits a spell and drops them beneath the ground and drops a bunch of block, brick, cement and everything, bricks on them. And it's obviously, they didn't do a really good job with this special effect because it's kind of obvious that it's foam. But it's supposed to be a bunch of blocks and bricks and things dropping on them. They get taken down beneath to a crypt. The monkey is upset because he was promised Mira. Traigon bitch slaps the monkey. The princess gets upset and says he wants his, prize. He wants his payment because he was promised the other twin. And Traigon tells him to go fuck himself. He's just a monkey. So the monkey gets mad and finds Baldur's sword. He takes the sword and goes running. We now have the priests showing up for the sacrifice. Down below, Baldur gets Mira to help remove the arrow that's in his arm. And then goes to explore to see if he can find a way out. Needless to say, it's kind of obvious because there's a bunch of mummified corpses around them. It kind of becomes obvious that the mummified corpses are about to come to life.
Oh yeah.
So we cut to the monkeys. The monkeys they're all pissed now, and they're telling him where to find something. More drinking of the nectar of the gods to keep Mara and Erlich under the spell. So they bring Mara out for the sacrifice to put her on the altar. We cut downstairs, down beneath the ground again, and the mummies are starting to come to life. We cut now to the goat boy who was dancing in the field with 3 women. The monkey shows up and hands him the sword, essentially turning on Traigon. And Goat Boy realizes whose sword it is and goes running off to get help. He gets a bunch of villagers who grab basically their gardening tools, your rakes and shovels and scythes and that. And for some reason, the goats and sheep are going with them to fight a war.
Why not?
So, back at the sacrifice, Marla lays on the altar. The symbol above her is turning green as Traigon is starting to, the spell and that. Down beneath, the mummies are again still coming to life, and they basically essentially start attacking Mira and Baldur, which I think it was funny because there's one part where Mira stabs one and it doesn't die, and she's like, "Oh my god, it didn't die!" Well, fucking yeah, it's already dead, dude. We cut to the sacrifice, And for some reason, Erlich is the one who has to do the sacrifice. Just as they're about to do it, I believe it was Mara on the table remembered what Jesus Moses said to them, Krona, before he died, and that if they ever find themselves in trouble, to the point, oh no, Mira says it, to the point where there's no hope, to just say the name, to say one name. Can you remember the name? Because I really can't remember the name.
I can't either. It was weird. I just know they screamed it like 3-4 times.
Vital. Mira says the name downstairs. Mara says it up above on the altar. And then all of a sudden, this fucking thing appears in the sky. The best way to describe this is this overly muscular man, bat, lion, horse type thing. Appears in the sky. I have never seen anything like this before in my life. It is literally it has a lion's head, bat wings for arms, and almost a body of like a centaur or a horse, and the torso of a man.
Yes.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Outside of Full Metal Alchemist, not really.
I have read a lot of mythology, and I've never heard of anything like this. So he's up in the sky looking down. Again, we don't know what this thing is. Apparently, it is technically Vital because the green keeps going. Erlich starts fighting off the guards, saves Mara. So Traigon takes the princess and offers her as a sacrifice instead, and apparently gets the same results. So all this shit could have been avoided. Trying to find his oldest born, trying to find his daughters and everything like that, dying a second time apparently. He could have just killed fucking anybody. He could have sacrificed anybody and gotten the same results. Like, is that what you took from this scene?
Yeah. It's like, you wanted there to be a point, but there isn't one?
Like, you could have, so he could have just freaking killed anybody. Anybody! And it would have summoned this god, who was apparently half woman, half snake.
Yes.
So the fighting, the fighting is going on. Erlich and Mara are basically easily handling the soldiers. Traigon basically kills and throws the princess into the fire. The goddess snake thing starts firing fire, sending fire down below at the guards and that. Again, they're only fighting 2 people, but she's hitting the guards. Meanwhile, in the crypt, Baldur and Mira are fighting the mummies. A hole opens up, and Mira and Baldur climb out. So now the foursome are now fighting the guards by them. Have basically Baldur and Mira join the fight, and they're just essentially taking care of just wasting all the guards. The mummies start coming out, and again we get the face of the female in the sky blowing fire down upon everything and destroying everything. The mummies start coming out of the ground. There's more fighting with the soldiers and the armies. finally, the apparently the villagers have shown up. Oh wait, hold on. So we then get a scene where the lion, bat, horse guy starts fighting with the other god and uses force lightning, which apparently is all he needed to kill the other god. Okay. Lot of questions there. Why are we using force lightning? You know, this is 1982, so Star Wars is a thing right now. Like Empire Strikes Back has already come out. Why are we using force lightning? So the god dies. The villagers get let in with their cow and their goats and their sheep, because we take sheep to war, apparently. Erlich goes after Traigon. He fights the other guard first, and it's funny because there's actually a really funny line, because the guard is getting mad. The head guard is getting mad, and Traigon is telling him, you got to watch, to watch your anger. But as he's saying it, Erlich cuts the guy's shield in half, cuts the guy's sword in half, and then cuts his fucking arm off. So now Erlich is lining up to fight Traigon. And Traigon turns Erlich's sword into a snake. He drops it to the ground. Traigon picks it up and goes, "Illusion, motherfucker." He doesn't say motherfucker, but he basically goes, "Haha, you fell for the illusion." Goes to stab Erlich, and then from the side, 2 arrows come out and shoot him in the back from Mira and Mara. And apparently that's all it takes to kill him, because he drops to the ground and dies. We cut back, and that is like one of the most anticlimactic evil sorcerer deaths I've ever seen in my life.
This movie is very good at being anticlimactic, because the beast didn't even fly. It's you have a whole lot of death scenes, but you don't have like well fought scenes. You don't have scenes with lots of emotions.
No,
it's like the scenes are playing out, but as if
the acting is
somebody's
terrible.
just being there. It's like,
Yes.
we're going to make these scenes happen, but we're not going to make them believable. You are the best fighter possible, but you can't fight.
Yes. Oh, we'll get to the review in a minute. Hold on.
So I was just commenting on the scene as you're watching it, because it's. Did you not think the same thing as you were watching? Wow, these people can't fight.
Well, again, I have the pleasure and the I guess I'm trying to think of the right word. The benefit that I've seen Jim Wynorski movies, and I know how cheesy and campy his shit it really is. So this is about on par, in all honesty, with his movies. So we cut outside. We have a bunch of dead soldiers. The villagers are basically going, "Yep, we did it. Time to go now." So the final scene of the movie, Erlich walks out arm in arm with both women. And Boner looks and goes, "What, you get both?" He goes, "Yeah, they're 2 in 1. So apparently they're buy one, get one free.
Apparently.
And that's how the movie ends, with everybody laughing around the dead bodies. So apparently Erlich gets to go and bang Mira and Mara whenever he wants. Because whenever he's having sex with one, he's having sex with both. Roll credits. That is Sorceress. So, yeah. let's do some trivia real quick. So, if I had to get have you looked at the IMDb page at all?
No, I didn't have time today.
Okay, cool. Then that's a good thing. We're gonna play Guess the Budget. So this is 1982. You've watched the movie. You know what kind of you have basically a good guess of what you think how high you think the budget could be in 1982 dollars. What would be a guess?
Somewhere around 10 to 20 possible thousand or $250.
$500,000 in 1982, which would be the equivalent of $1.6 million today. So this had a $500,000 budget or a $1.6 million budget, and that's what they did with it. I think someone's walking around with $495,000 in their pocket. Because there's no fucking way it was $500,000.
No.
The release date in Mexico was it was released in the United States in 1982 on October 1st, 1982, in Atlanta, November 5th, 1982 in Los Angeles, West Germany, April 15th, 1983. Mexico, it was released on January 23rd, 1986, and in Argentina, June 12th of 1986. The movie was filmed in Mexico. It was also known as The Barbarian Women. Let's get up here. And there's what I had said earlier. Director Jack Hill asked that his name be removed from the credits for two reasons. One, the special effects around which much of the script had been written ended up being much less impressive than producer Roger Corman had promised. So they wrote the script thinking they're going to have this big budget to do all these special effects in it. And then Roger Corman basically goes, yeah, about that. And two, Hill had written a role for his friend Sid Haig, but Roger Corman refused to hire him at the last minute. Sid Haig also really popular, really had a big career in the blaxploitation genre back in the 60s and 70s. So it's not a surprise that him and Jack Hill were friends. Director Jack Hill claims that Dino De Laurentiis, who was filming Dune at the time, in the same studio, stole the movie's lighting equipment for his own production. The name of the film was decided on when Roger Corman took a list of potential titles to a local high school and polled the students on which they preferred, even though the film didn't actually contain a sorceress. Let's see. During production, 2 days worth of footage was destroyed by an explosion in the studio's film vault. Oh, God. Oh, here we go. Roger Corman came up with the idea for the winged lion, which was a hand puppet. What do you think of that one, Jen?
It makes more sense.
It was a fucking hand puppet.
You had the hand puppet and the lady in the green
sky.
Yeah, it's...
Douglas Sanders studied apes at the zoo for his role as Hunu, the monkey man. Basically, Jack Hill wanted to cast Sid Haig as Pondo, but Roger Corman refused to pay Sid Haig's salary. After the film was finished, producer Roger Corman had it recut and removed director Jack Hill's name from it, though Hill said over the years he asked to have his name removed because he didn't like the changes Corman made. The credited director, Brian Stewart, is actually the first names of Corman's two sons. The original rough cut of this movie, it was 2 hours long. Yeah. Oh. So, what happened to Lee and Lynette Harris, you may ask? So, in 1989, Lee and Lynette Harris were indicted by a federal grand jury in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on income tax evasion charges. The government alleged that they were paid a total of $1 million by an elderly millionaire for sexual services rendered and never paid taxes on the money. So, yes, if you are a prostitute, you are still required to pay taxes. The sisters were convicted at trial, but in 1991, the convictions were reversed on appeal and the case was dismissed. Jim Wynorski, who working in the advertising department of Roger Corman's company, wrote the script in a single week. Yeah, I can see that. After Corman asked him to. A clip of this movie is on the first 50 worst movies ever made DVD. Yeah, so Lee and Lynette Harris were twin Playboy playmates in March of 1981, the year before before starring in this movie. And that would be the last time we would ever see them on screen.
Yeah, that ruined their careers, most definitely.
Yeah. So, all right, Jen, this is our favorite part of the show. Moving into reviews. As usual, I always let the guest go first.
I give it a 2.5.
So, but that just you want to go into why you didn't why you gave it 2.5?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to word it properly. I give it 2.5 because I've already given like 2 other movies that to me felt worse, like a 1 and a -1. Well, a 0.5. So I gave it a 2.5 because it has a better plot. It's mostly understandable how they got from point A to point B. There's plenty of scenes to make what they tried to do seem like it makes sense, and it's not the worst thing I've seen, obviously, over the last 3 years doing the other show, Uncle Necro's Tomb of the Terrible.
Yeah, you guys went through a string of Amityville movies, so yeah.
So you can see why it gets a 2.5 compared to some of those getting 0.5 ones, and
yes.
One of them got a -1. It was that bad.
And you guys didn't even watch Amityville Thanksgiving.
Well, we didn't do it for the show. I regretted having to do it for the friend.
Yeah. I am sorry. I apologize to anybody who watched that movie because I reviewed it. I hope nobody did. I don't want anybody to have to sit through that. But yes. So you give it 2.5. We'll say 2.5 winged lion hand puppets.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go a little higher than that. I think I'd say 3.25 stars. I always look at a movie with rewatchable elements and things like that, and I think I'd rewatch this in all honesty. The campiness, the cheesiness is kind of fun. The plot makes no sense whatsoever. Especially when you take out the element of like the entire movie he's going through, he's got to find which one's the oldest, because that's who has to be sacrificed. That's who has to, mate with the old blood before they're sacrificed to strengthen the sacrifice. And he just kills the fucking princess and throws her in the fire anyway, and the god shows up. thus to me defeating the entire purpose of the whole movie. The whole thing where they don't know what women are or what the reproductive values of women are or anything like that kind of didn't sit well with me. I don't understand how that contributes to the story. I get being naive, but I'm pretty sure everybody, even back in whatever time this was, everybody was taught the differences between, male and female.
What can happen if you do anything with a guy of the sexual nature and
Yes.
so on.
And then it got even weirder when Mara and Ehrlich were having sex, and all of a sudden Mira just starts like orgasming on her own in front of everybody else. And Baldar just like, yep, that's Ehrlich. So yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's the campiness, the cheesiness. Again, it could also be the benefit of the benefit that I've had of seeing Jim Wynorski movies in the past and knowing just how cheesy, campy, and silly his movies can get. Like I said, he did. I think it was the Erotic Witch Project or the Bear Witch when he got in the 90s. He did a kind of like a sexual spoof of like a Skinamax spoof of the Blair Witch Project, which a lot of people did those. And he's got his newest Jim Wynorski's latest movie is Dino Gator. Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl, Bigfoot or Bust, Giantess Battle Attack, like a lot of movies on Tubi. Shark Babes, he's got a movie called Scared Topless, Cobra Gator, Arkansas Women's Prison Massacre, which I do not suggest to anybody watch. Camel Spiders, Busty Cops and the Jewel of Denial, Busty Cops Go Hawaiian. He did Dino Croc and Super Gator. A lot of these are his as his pseudonyms as well. So if you see a movie with Rob Robertson or Harold Blueberry or Salvador Ross, that's him. The Hills Have Thighs, Devil Wears Nada, Cleavage Field. Actually, it was the Bear Wench. I take it back. It was the Bear Wench. And he also did the Witches of Brestwick. I forgot what I was going with this. Basically, the silliness and the campiness, like the Bear Wench Project, was literally a bunch of women just taking their clothes off for no reason whatsoever. Like, because they were in the woods. So, like I said, I think that's why I feel comfortable with a 3.25 because, or 3.25 stars, because I think I could rewatch the movie, and remember going, oh yeah, that part's stupid. But yeah, that's gonna do Sorceress here on the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. What did you think of your first foray into the sci-fi fantasy realm here on the show, at least?
I think I like Barbarella better.
Well, yeah. This also was one of the movies that kind of took and tried to. It came out after Conan the Barbarian, so of course, everybody and their brother now is making barbarian and fantasy movies because of how much money Conan the Barbarian made.
But Robert E. Howard still did it better.
True. Well, at the same time, too, they also wrote the script thinking, oh, we're going to have this giant budget. Roger Corman signed on, he's a legend. And what do you mean we get $30 for special effects? But Jen, where can we find you?
You can find me. I'm the ghost that ruffles your hair while you're sleeping. I am always at Owlite, always at Fake Horror. Friday with the Library in the Blue Box was my original baby, and my author page, Jennifer Elliott.
And you can also go ahead. Sorry.
And I just hope I get to try this again with you later on Bloody Binge.
Of course. And don't forget, you can find Jen every Monday on Uncle Necro's Tomb of the Terrible.
Oh yeah.
What are you guys watching this week?
Hold on a second. I should know this. My brain just went blank.
This just means she hasn't watched it yet.
No, I don't normally watch them until like Monster in the Closet. I do Sunday. We usually do these on Sundays when Josh is off.
Okay.
And yours I just get to watch anytime I want.
Yeah, this some of the stuff that I pick, I'm not gonna lie. I will tell you right now, I do still blame my wife for Killing Tree. She's the one that picked that out for me to watch, and I went back and I was like, you know what? You're gonna watch this shit with me now.
That is the whole reason why Chaos ended up on Tomb of the Terrible. He was watching the movies with me, and I'm like, you know what? You're gonna come join me.
Mine was more about you did this to me, so I guess you're part of this now. You're watching it. But you can find me everywhere at the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast, on Facebook, on Twitter, X, on YouTube. You can email me at bloodybinge@gmail.com for any movie suggestions or any kind of suggestions on the show. Coming up on the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast for the next few weeks, we have next week, of course, we're going to do the show on Thursday next week. Friday, of course, I will be at the haunt, so we're going to do this Thursday evening, 9:00. To my knowledge, Raz says he will be able to join, so he might be joining me. Jen, of course, you're more than welcome.
Okay.
We are doing shivers. We are doing romantic serial killers.
Ooh.
As of right now, basically the rule of the show is going to basically be lovers, lane killers, and serial killing couples. Anything to have to do with love. As of right now, my plan is to talk about the Colonial Parkway murderers. Those are the ones that I grew up with that terrified me. We have the Tinder murderer. We have the Barbie killers. And a few other ones to go over. We are probably not going to do a news segment on Thursday because of how much information a lot of these stories have. We might even let Jen do Bonnie and Clyde. Maybe we'll see what's going on.
Okay.
We'll see how much you know about the history of Bonnie and Clyde.
Just tell me how long you want the essay.
We'll see. We'll see what's going on. Like I said, we'll see what I have. I have a list of people I need to look up. I've already done the Colonial Parkway is ready for it. I got to get going on a lot of these other ones. The Barbie killers especially have a lot of information. I know they were pretty big, pretty brutal, that one's a little disturbing too. So,
about your theme is it could be a multiple episode theme.
Yes. Well, I don't want to do because as much information as there is out there, like about the Colonial Parkway killers, I don't think there's enough information there to do an entire episode.
Oh, I mean, like you can do multiple couples.
Yes.
Like one episode you pick a group and then later on you just decide I want to do another couples episode and then we get to enjoy that.
Yes, because there are a ton of couple serial killers in that. But after that, the week after that, on the 21st, we're doing Sweatshop. It is a slasher movie, kind of more modern. I think it came out in like 2021 or 2022. And then the week after that, we celebrate Mardi Gras. We'll talk about the history of Mardi Gras, and we will watch Mardi Gras Massacre. Then we move into the month of March. In March, on the first weekend of March, which I believe is also the 7th, We are watching American Ninja. That is a movie I wanted to do a martial arts movie, and that's a movie I grew up watching, and I love that movie. So my opinion on that might be a little biased. But we'll be watching American Ninja. On the 14th is our St. Patty's Day episode, and we have Unlucky Charms from Full Moon Pictures. The same people who brought us Puppet Master, The Wickeds, and a bunch of others. And then from there, the 21st, as I said, we are not having an episode. Unless something happens and we don't end up going to Horror Hound, there will be no episode on the 21st of March, as I will be in Horror Hound, and we'll see about doing something there. And finally, on the 28th of March, we are doing, that is our spring break episode, and we are going to watch 2012's Bikini Spring Break, a cult comedy. So all that is coming up on the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I'm still working on April, but April 4th is our 1-year anniversary show.
Oh, brutal.
So I'm trying to figure out something special to do for that. I don't know if it'll be a special movie or if we'll do a live watch along or something, maybe. Where people can watch a movie with us. I just realized I spelled sorcerer wrong down there. Damn it.
Well, I do know this guy that can give us permission to watch a movie.
A certain movie, yep.
I own it, and he made it, so we can do it, and he can possibly give us commentary.
And are we talking about Monsters Gone Wild?
I was thinking more like The Mime.
The Mime? I haven't seen The Mime.
Oh, I've seen the movie. I love the book, and I love the guy who made it. You know, Raz.
Mm-hmm.
And with it being his movie, we can get away with copyright and everything because it's his.
Yes. We'll see. We'll talk about this a little bit, actually. But that's what everything coming up. Like I said, we're gonna have a couple of shows. I'm still trying to decide because Easter and WrestleMania are the same weekend this year.
Oh wow.
And I'm trying to decide if I want to do an Easter horror movie or a wrestling themed horror movie, because that is what our first episode last year was, Body Slam, and basically a wrestling themed movie, obviously. And I don't know. And I'm basically trying to decide if I want to make that a tradition for WrestleMania weekend, is doing either a wrestling themed horror movie or wrestling themed movie or a movie starring a wrestler. So we'll see. I got some stuff to think about. I might do even the week before or the week after. We might do the Easter horror. We'll see what's going on, because we also in April have Shivers. I believe that's when we're going to go ahead and do Cryptids of Mississippi in April. So there's a lot happening here on the Bloody Binge. Horrorcore Heels might start being a regular thing. I know it's going to be preempted this week unless something really big happens in the world of wrestling. Horrorcore Heels will be preempted this next week, as on Thursday I will be doing Shivers, Romantic Serial Killers. So we have all this coming up on the Bloody Binge. A lot of stuff coming up on the Owlite Network. So
yeah. And then tonight, at the usual 9 o'clock time we get to meet Elizabeth Vicky. I am pronouncing it wrong. I will get it right later. She is this wonderful horror author, and I absolutely love her stories. Great speculative fiction horror, and she will make you think, and she will make you feel. So please come join us later tonight for Unprinted Pages, so we can meet her and pick her brain with my weird questions.
And you, of course, can find that on the Owlite Network on YouTube and on Facebook.
Yes. I nearly forgot. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I know I have a lot of people watching on my X page as well, so I just want to make sure they know where to find everything. So yeah, go like and subscribe to the Owlite Network on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can get all the shows, extra horror movie shows, wrestling shows. I believe you guys do comic books sometimes.
Oh, yeah. That's all on the Dorking Podcast Network. You can find our comic books there.
On the Dorkening. You could also, I think you guys used to, I don't know if you guys are going to bring back the D&D, the Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm hoping at some point. Until then, you can find Calypso has a new story coming out soon in a anthology, and I will tell you the names and everything as of next week and start posting it everywhere. But Calypso will have a story that you can read. She is not gone. She's just living through Page until we can start the game again.
There you go. So guys, yeah, keep a lookout on the Owlite Network page, on the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast page. Be good to each other, and as always, keep watching horror.
And keep reading horror.
This is true. Keep reading horror as well. See you guys next week.